Good evening. Welcome to our broadcast for our COVID-19 response under our MCP Movement Control Procedure. Date of recording is on the 9th of July 2020. And I'd like to just mention that my name is Charles, in case some of you are tuning in for the first time. And this is where basically we report on any significant changes over some of the measures, operational changes and measures that we put in place in view of many of the sort of government regulations. And I hope that for some of you that are watching this for the first time, you find this extremely useful. Anyhow, as usual, I'd like to kind of report on some of our national sort of reporting COVID-19 cases. We've averaged about 23 cases, with the lowest being one new case. As far as statistics on our feedback on complaints, we have received total is about 14 complaints and feedbacks, 4 from the residents and 10 from commercial. 6 of which are from the online feedback form, 1 from email, 1 from phone calls, 2 from WhatsApp, and 3 from Jaya One Facebook, and then 1 from our customer service walk-in. This is again, I want to extend my sort of appreciations for everyone that are using the channels that we have designed. From the last sort of broadcast, we mentioned that we won't be able to record our weekly broadcast, so this is actually a fortnightly. But again, it's great that everyone has remained committed to using the system that we have designed, which enables my team to systematically work through the problems and solutions. This broadcast basically aims to give you all feedback and update over any of the issues that has been brought up by the occupants of Jaya One. Kind of quick announcement before I delve into the questions. One of the things that was brought up quite a while back was regarding some of what would be our procedures when it comes to our cleaners, security guards, whether they've gone through proper procedures to ensure that they are tested. And there was subsequent to that, I think there was a few broadcasts that we had announced in terms of our internal procedures, education, awareness, and ensure that they wear PPE at all time. We just received confirmation back, full confirmation back over our security guards and our cleaners, that all the assigned personnel have gone through a COVID-19 test, and everyone has come back negative. So the good news is basically that part has been done, and what is essential now is ensuring that all staffs continue to go through the daily procedures that we put in place to ensure that they go through the daily registrations, temperature checking, making sure PPE is worn at all times, daily reminder of the education in terms of advocating awareness to them, the need to respect social distancing, and so on and so forth. Right. I'd like to basically now kind of go straight into our questions, and I'd like to basically start with first segment will be from our customers. Right, I think this is we do receive this complaint on a weekly basis, and we've received it from customers, tenants, from everyone. I like to kind of put out there that we are actually still in the crisis containment situation. We're looking at it from a financial or economic point of view. We've come out of the whole COVID-19 pandemic. We are at the RMCO period. Obviously, we are facing immense financial stress. And we're not talking about just us, we're talking about our occupants, businesses here, and so on and so forth. So it is something that we wish we didn't have to do, but we have to. In light of the situation right now, we are not sure whether there will be a second wave. We're not sure what will happen in the next 6 months. The only thing that we are sure of is what are the areas we can control. And one of the things we must look at is actually conserving our cash flow, conserving our finance, to ensure that we can brace ourselves for challenges that lie ahead, and there will be. And so some of these measures that we have put in place, they They are not ideal, and we definitely agree with everyone out there. I wouldn't say the decisions we've taken to dim the lights is the right decision either. They are simply a balancing act at this point in time. And we hope that as the month goes on, as we hope to see things start to improve, confidence starts to be restored, then we can start to switch on more light. So I just hope that you can bear with us for a little longer, and it's really looking at this next 6 months up until December. That's the kind of time that we're buying for ourselves. We have actually received this on several occasions, but this is the first time we're seeing it, that we're requesting us to improve, to maintain the lighting that we have improved from a couple of weeks back up until 9:30. We don't see a problem with that. In fact, I think we just had a meeting with our head of departments, and so they're looking at reprogramming the hours. I think the earliest that it can make this happen will be on the 16th of July. And this is due to the fact that the reprogramming requires a technician to come in, because the software needs to be reprogrammed in order to kind of turn those lights, keep those lights on until 9:30. So do bear with us until the 16th of July. As for the AC, most ACs around the common areas have actually been switched off at this point in time, with only very selected few areas, especially where it's an F&B, where a lot of heat is actually generated. But most common areas within the shopping center areas at the school has actually been switched off. So that won't be something that we can accommodate. Again, this is part of the whole cost conservation exercise. All air cons has been reserved to supply only to tenants. Common areas, primarily of them, has been switched off. So again, please kind of bear with us. But the lighting, we're going to try to extend the improved version of the lighting around the area until 9:30. Right, as for this question, just as I may have covered very briefly, the decision to reduce maintenance fees or service charge in this particular case is something that requires an annual general meeting to take place. This is something that we are presently organizing. As you know, it is not easy to organize an AGM at this point in time with social distancing. So a lot of thought has been put in order to see how we can actually put together an AGM and do it safely. Okay, so we've more or less put together a plan. We'll be advertising and outlining this plan on the 15th of July, regards to how the AGM will be staged. So back to the simple question of why is there no discount? For the first very simple reason is because it requires an AGM to be passed, and so we couldn't organize any AGM because we were not allowed during the MCO period. So the decision can't be made singularly without an AGM. Two, what the proposals that we have put forward in terms of reducing maintenance charges or discount in this particular case, we have put together a proposal which we will present at the next coming AGM. So whoever is asking this question, I guess all the answers will come to light when we publicize our next AGM. Okay, with regards to the toilet papers, we totally recognize this is a basic right, and would like to apologize if anyone was offended by the notices that we have put up. And so, I think since then we have received several rounds of protest from many people from the 129 office. The decision taken basically now is that we are willing to reconsider our position, and as the latest notice suggests, we are maintaining the toilet rolls, but we won't be able to kind of maintain the frequency of the replenishment, and so we can only seek the cooperation of everyone there to go easy on the usage, right? Because these toilet rolls can present quite a heavy cost to the management, and so what we can assure right now is we will basically replenish on once a day. So it starts in the morning, and once it's actually finished, then there's no way we can replenish that until the following day. So this is something that I hope that will only go on until December, where we hope that financially we'll be back on track. And in the meantime, I'm just hoping that everyone will be cooperative and be mindful that, just be careful when you're pulling these toilet rolls out. Okay, just use sparingly. The thing I would like to be very honest when it comes to security guards. Many of these guards that we engage, they are outsourced. They don't work for us in that sense. They're working for an outsourced company. As much as we like to think we have absolute influence over their conduct and behavior, the truth is we don't, not even with our own staff sometimes. They're bound to make mistakes. And so in most particular case, guards like these, you're going to catch them once in a while that they will be maybe even using the phone. And as always, when we receive complaints like these, what we usually do is we will alert our head of security, and then they will then reprimand, followed by issuing certain warnings. And if this behavior continues, what we do is we will then remove them from our site and insist that the guards be changed. And so our security has actually investigated this particular incident. We've actually viewed the CCTV footage. And yes, the guard does seem a little passive, and the guard could have been more helpful. We will talk. We would remind the security guard to try to be a bit more helpful in situations of opening doors and whatnot. But I like to say that it's not something that we can ensure that guards will be able to perform these, how would I call it, extra service, 100%. We can only hope that they will improve, and we will continue to try to talk to them. And if at all the guard is really not performing their duties and they are being extremely rude, then is when we really have to take a very sort of real action to actually remove them. Based on the video and the footage that we saw, I don't think it has reached that level yet. So we're going to try and talk to the security company. We're going to retrain this particular security guard, and we hope that his conduct will improve. But even then, I'm just want to kind of hope that residents do understand that they're not going to be always perfect at 100%. Sometimes we just have to bear with the little things and just hope to see the bigger picture, and AC is performing his duty 85% of the time. I think that's more crucial for us to see. Okay, well, just going to quick answer. The rationale back then was to really have a dedicated area for people who are still, in fact, but back then was working in the front line. The idea is that when they come back from their place of work, being in the front line, they will be able to enter the building, and then there will be a dedicated lift for them to use, and this would put comfort onto the rest of the residents that they have this lift that's dedicated to them, and then the remaining residents will use these two other lifts. That was in the first MCO. Okay, so a lot has changed, a lot has actually happened since then. So sort of assessing the situation right now, I think it's time that I think it's okay to actually remove this dedicated third lane. And so I think effective probably next week, we're going to be just making it all mixed, and so there won't be a dedicated four front lines. Basically everyone will use all three of those lifts at the R1. Okay, so we will put that into practice next week. Well, in this area of self-quarantine, this is something that's also quite new. It's something that the government has actually imposed for people who, if they have to travel or for whatever reasons, they have to quarantine themselves. And much of it also relying on the goodwill of people to actually stay at home. This is not an easy situation for us to actually control or have 100% control over. So we've just discussed with my head of departments and the team, and what we can introduce in line with what the government has actually put in place is to introduce what we call a sort of self-home quarantine declaration. All right, these are forms that will be made available for those people who are quarantined or practicing self-quarantine for whatever good reasons, and that they can fill this form up, and the forms will reveal basic information about the person, contact details, and how many people are actually staying with this person, and and most importantly is what kind of assistance would this person or family need from us. I would have to assume that if one person is quarantined and they're living with several other people, that I would assume that the whole family should remain in quarantine, and therefore they will require assistance from shopping, food, etc., etc. This is where I think the management wouldn't mind providing those assistance. We've done it on one particular case during the MCO period. And so I think that I would like to see this from a more positive perspective. Is like if someone chooses to self-quarantine, we encourage these occupants to declare themselves to us, not because we want to publicize the information, but simply because we want to extend our assistance in terms of how we could make their quarantine more comfortable. So that being said, customer service will provide these forms, which will make available online for people to download. In any case, in order to reduce the red tape and administration over this process, the best way is to call customer service, inform them that you are practicing self-quarantine, and what we'll do is we will send someone up to basically get the forms filled up. And once we have this form, basically, we would be more than happy to provide the assistance that you need in order to ensure that your stay at home is as comfortable as possible. Okay? Right, first of things, we'd like to just correct some facts here. We actually did reopen the gym on the 3rd of July. And this was after, it did come some weeks later after even the government had allowed it. And one of the simple reasons why the gym wasn't open earlier than it should have been was because we needed to work out a safe and realistic SOP. And this took some time. Obviously, we needed to examine with my head of departments and from a housekeeping point of view, how would we operationally cope with respect to allowing this gym to open. We look at sanitization, we look at declaration, we have to look at contact tracing, we have to look at the pass and how do we impose restriction on the number of people in the gym, how are we going to do that successfully. We look at the booking system. So all this had to be thought out very carefully in order to make sure that the procedure and the process will be as seamless as possible, and we want it to be as easy as possible. So it wasn't something that we could just create overnight and put in place without thinking it through. So as for the gym, it took us about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks to actually build the SOPs. We really thought it very, very carefully over how we would do this, and I believe the fact that since 3rd of July we put the SOPs into practice, we have received many actually good response, and people are actually following the SOPs that we have designed. And I think the SOP actually speaks for itself. It actually has proven it does work, and I'm very, very pleased to report that everyone is following that SOP, and we're really, really happy with the fact that people are using it. So it does prove that the time that we took to design the SOP was definitely worth it, and we have not seen any situation where any abuse have come out yet. So for those who've been really supporting this SOP and appreciating, we really want to thank you. And on top of that, we realized that in order to make the SOP work, in order to sort of implement these sort of restriction number of people per hour basis, so we actually made the gym now open for 24 hours. So this was very well received. So, and again, we had to look at how to make it all work realistically. So that took time. Now, as for the swimming pool and the playground, we just recently finished putting the SOP for the gyms and the yoga room. I think our team is still looking into the swimming pool. and definitely on the playground. These two is a lot harder in terms of designing that procedure, for simple reasons, because they are not enclosed. So anybody can just walk in and walk out. We don't really yet have an answer. We know some condominiums have taken the decisions to not reopen. In fact, I think many condos in terms of gyms have not opened yet. Some have opened, so our gym just opened. A lot of other condos have also kept the swimming pool closed and off limits, and playgrounds as well. We are not saying that we're keeping it closed indefinitely. We are working out the SOPs, and as soon as we get the SOPs going, then we will be in a position to open these facilities. I get the sentiment among the occupants that we are, if you were to walk out today, just over the last weekend we have Facebook reporting people visiting many sort of local tourist site, people going into traveling, interstate traveling, and it does feel like everything is back to normal. It does feel like in some cases we've seen overcrowding coming back, and no one is making a big fuss of it anymore. But the truth is this, the COVID-19 is still out there, and although with very few cases, I still think as a management we're responsible over the safety, and having SOPs to be in place to ensure that social distancing, contact tracing is actually still there. Those are basic principles that we can never run away from. And so because of those key principles that we need to maintain, the SOPs is incredibly challenging to design, especially for the swimming pool and gym. Apologies again to our occupants. So that's just something that we will be working it through. What you can be assured is that we will never give up in trying to find those solutions, sort of designing those SOPs to ensure that things can be done safely as possible. Okay, thank you. Right, so that kind of brings us to an end for all the questions, and please keep them coming in. I know, and I hope that everyone will look forward to Aeon Big opening, and they're opening on the 23rd of July, along with 5 other new brands. So stay in touch with our Facebook to see what new tenants are opening. We're excited about our new campaign, stay ahead of the curve. So in light of the campaign title, I wish to say to everyone, please help us stay ahead of the curve. Thank you.